Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to Leading Our Own Way. We have, once again, a very, very special guest. This one, close to my heart. He's a basketball player. Yep, he's a true icon here in Australia. He's someone who's made an incredible mark on the court, with a career that's inspired so many young athletes across the country. From his time with the Melbourne Tigers, you can see him here, right here, doing his thing. Just an incredible player. Unfortunately, I wasn't living in Australia when he was playing, but since arriving, I've heard a lot about him, and luckily got to know him. About 6 years ago, we first connected, and I'm honoured to have him here on the podcast. Yeah, he played with Melbourne Tigers, made a huge mark on Australian basketball. Warwick Giddy's influence has felt far and wide. And of course, many will recognise him as the proud father of Josh Giddey, who's currently lighting up the Chicago Bulls in the NBA. But today, we're here to dig deeper into Warwick's own story, his journey, the ups and downs of careers in sports, and what he's learned along the way. So we'll be right back after the trailer with Mr. Giddey. Enjoy. Welcome to Leading Our Own Way. I'm your host, Andrew White, and this is the podcast that unveils captivating narratives of resilience and personal triumph. This podcast is for anyone seeking inspiration and insights on overcoming life's challenges. Follow and subscribe, and then we can lead together forever. Wazza Giddey, welcome to Leading Our Own Way. How are you tonight, brother?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Andy. It's an honour to be on here and looking forward to having a good chat, a yard about my life, I suppose.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to have you on. We've known each other for quite a number of years now through coaching when you came to my school, and that's how we met. But I've been telling people, I work in schools, as you know, still, and I've been telling, I'm interviewing Wazza Gad, and they're like, what? No way. But for anyone, my friends back in the UK and people who are living in the United States, tell us exactly who you are.
Oh, look, Warwick Giddy's my name. I've got three beautiful daughters and one magnificent son, Joshua, that's playing in the NBA. Hannah's my oldest daughter. She's 23 and she's at Southern Nazarene College in Oklahoma. Was living the great life. Unfortunately, he's gone from the penthouse to the shit house once her big little brother moved to Chicago. I have Neve, the third oldest, and she's just finished. She graduated last year, so she's having a bit of a gap year, doing a bit of work. And my youngest daughter is Ella, and she's in year 11 at Caulfield Grammar this year. And she's a bit of a footy player. Neve's a basketballer, and Hannah's a basketballer. So they're all into their sport. They love their life, and hopefully they can all make a career some way or another and a happy life.
Yeah, amazing. You've had you're a bit of a legend in the game of basketball in Australia, here in Melbourne in particular. Talk to us briefly a little bit about your career.
Well, look, it's funny. I ended up in Melbourne, a place I probably didn't really know too much about. In fact, I thought it was a lot more inland. I didn't realise that there was beaches or a bay with
Mm.
water around it. Before I'd come down, I'd really only been here for a couple of basketball camps as a youngster, and I grew up in Wollongong, an hour south of Sydney on the New South Wales coast there. Grew up as a surfy kid. He never lived more than 100 metres from the water. Grew up in a beautiful little town called Coalcliff. It's probably about 35 minutes south of Sydney, and it's a little place with about 250 people there. And lived there till I was 12, and then Mum and Dad moved to Wollongong, to North Wollongong, and lived about 100 metres from the main beach there. So was a keen surf lifesaver, cricketer, rugby league player was our major sport in New South Wales. So I had to dabble in everything I could, just one of those little energetic little kids running around, crazy, getting up to lots of mischief, but sport was always a great saviour for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've had such a distinguished career in Australian basketball, both as a player and now as a coach. And I know you've done you did some professional coaching before what you're doing now as well, haven't you?
Yeah. Look, once my basketball career finished as a player, I definitely went into the coaching, and it overlapped with a bit of junior coaching while I was playing also. So, love the coaching aspect of it, and always felt I worked the game out more of my brain than my natural athletic ability, which I didn't have a lot of.
Ah, Psh, come on, I've watched the videos. Everyone should go and check him out as well. But just looking back though to when you first started, what was it about basketball that captured your heart and motivated you to pursue it at such a high level?
Well, look, it was really two phase. When I was in sixth class, I got introduced to the game. I was the tallest kid in the class, not by head and shoulders, but I'd been the tallest kid in primary school for my career, and I was just lucky that a teacher there was into the Illawarra Hawks at the time, and he loved his basketball, and he pulled me aside one day and he said, "Listen, we've got this game basketball. You ever thought of trying that?" And I was a mad keen rugby league player, as I said, cricketer. I was into the surf life saving. And we didn't even have a basketball court there, and that was at East Corrimal Primary School in Wollongong, and we had a netball court with netball rings, and I never forget that they drew up these little feet which showed you the layup steps, so you could take start on your left and right left, and
That's a good
he
idea.
taught me how to dribble a basketball, and I was just fortunate. I went to the South Coast trials, and I've been playing the game for 3 months, and they picked me in the South Coast primary school boys team. Now, that was great at the time, but unfortunately, the best player on the team had appendicitis and had just had an operation and had to come back in. And unfortunately for me, I was the worst player by far there, but I got up and down the court, so I was cut from that side, unfortunately. But that was my first venture into basketball, just because I was tall, and then gradually just fell in love with the game, became better and better over the years. Got in some great sides when I was in under 14s. I was in the Illawarra side. I was the worst player, but in the best side in New South Wales with the state champions. So I learnt pretty quickly, having better players around me, getting beat up, getting torn up at training. As I said, had a major growth spurt in under 16s at top age, and then just got better, and as I said, got rewarded with representative sides, New South Wales side, the Australian Institute of Sport, and eventually after 2 years with the Illawarra Hawks, I ended up in Melbourne, a place I would never have thought in a million years I would ever go to.
Yeah, wow. You had a bit of a shock, I think. I remember you telling me when you first came to Melbourne, you didn't know it was near something that you was probably seeking, maybe.
Yeah, I was definitely seeking the beach and the water, and especially in summertime. But basketball was a winter sport at that stage, so it was really played from April probably
Mm.
till October. I think our grand final was just after the AFL grand final. So I would always go back home to Wollongong and work as a professional lifeguard over the summer for 2 or 3 months before we had to come back to Melbourne for pre-season. But yeah, I was, I'd call it ignorance or, just a lack of education about Melbourne and geography. I had no idea it was on the water. But once I discovered that, I really fell in love with the place. And, I had family that had never really been here, a lot of friends and mates and relatives that have since been over the years and visited me and have just fell in love with Melbourne and can't believe what a fantastic place it is.
Yeah, nice. When you walk down to the beach, I don't know, I'm guessing it was it? Well, I've got St Kilda in my head because anytime anyone comes to Australia for the first time, it's always St Kilda.
Well, yeah, it was up the end of Park Street near Fitzroy Street, so it
Oh,
was
well.
the west side of St Kilda.
Yeah.
But yeah, fell in love with South Melbourne, Port Melbourne. Ended up buying a place in Port Melbourne, and loved the beach there before that area got developed. But yeah, an awesome place. Unfortunately, no waves. I've got to remind people it's a bay, not a beach.
Hmm.
And I surfed for the first 10 years down here. I had a board, and I would make the journey down to the 13th beach down to Geelong or wherever I had to go to catch a wave. And unfortunately, that pastime's probably a thing of the past now, and it's been a few years since I've had a good surf, but I just stick to body surfing now when I get to the waves.
When you first saw the beach out that way though, I bet you comparing it back to the back at home, are you thinking, oh, this is not such a great
Yeah.
beach? Or was it then? I don't know, because now it's not as nice, is it?
Well, look, when I went to the beach, it was to have a body surf or a surf, so I was definitely wanting waves. But you adapt. It's a beautiful beach, and the water's the same. It's
Yeah.
it's like a flat day in Wollongong when there's no surf. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's every day down here. But the waves do come in the gong. But I adapted pretty quickly, and just having the sand and the water, the salt water is just so great for the body and
Oh.
and for the mind, I think. And people don't realise that don't live on the ocean or near salt water how good it is for you.
It's weird that you bring that up because, like, when I used to go on British lads' holidays to Spain, you go to the beach and you feel amazing. But it's just simple as just standing on the earth, isn't it? That just standing on sand, soil, or grass just releases everything that the body's supposed to release. You know?
Yeah, so it can really reinvigorate you. And I'd
Yeah.
recommend it to anyone after a big night, after a quiet night, whatever it is, go and have a swim in the ocean, and
Yeah.
you'll find that you're ready for the day.
Well, we lived down the Bayside area for 6 or 7 years. We met along the Bayside area, actually,
Yes.
uh, in Mentone, Parkdale area, and the beach there is stunning. The water's clear. I used to take my dog out for a swim. There was no waves, like you mentioned, so she'd come out with me. Now we've moved down to Mount Dunedin area, the Geelong area. There's waves. And she won't go in the water. Well, she'll go in the water, but she won't come out unless I'm out. But 13th Beach that you mentioned 6 minutes away down the
Yeah.
road. We could be there in the less than 10 minutes. So if you ever come back down this way. Actually, our friend, mutual friend, who's also appeared on Leading Our Own Way, Mr. Wayne Peterson, the voice of Melbourne. He's actually down at 13th Beach all the time.
Oh, he has an extraordinary lifestyle, Wayne, and one that I envy.
I doubt that. Do you guys ever speak, catch up, or?
Yeah, look, I'm still in contact with obviously Wayne and Mark Bradkey and Andrew Gaze, Leonard Copeland, most of the boys, Dave Simmons as well, Ray Gordon, who's my assistant coach for the under 18 Tigers. So we catch up regularly, whether it's at basketball games or watching the NBL or doing our coaching duties with the juniors. But yeah, we regularly catch up.
Yeah, nice. Well, you just brought a couple of names up there, so it's kind of prompted me. I don't know if you did it on purpose, but Mr. Andrew Gaze is a good friend who came up quite a lot of Wayne's. He came up in the episode quite a lot. He shared the story of how he flew him out to New York to go and watch the NBA Finals back in '99 with the Spurs. He
Yes.
definitely shared that one, good old Wayne. And Mr. Bart Bradkey, who actually presented, I won a National Teacher of the Year award back in 2014, and Mark in the middle, next to you over here, presented that award to me. It's really funny. People know I'm from England, but the newspapers and the TV made it out that he was my idol. And I'd never, no disrespect to Mark, but I never knew of any Australian players other than Luke Longley
Yes, yes.
because of the Bulls in the 90s, and I never really knew who he was. But obviously, we started speaking about basketball when they're presenting the award, and then he asked me to go out to the front, which I found very bizarre. And then I clicked of why I was there. But I thought it was funny when the newspapers put it in like that. He was fantastic. He was amazing, and yeah, no, it was a small world. Melbourne is a small world.
Yes, yeah, very small. But yeah, but Mark Bradkey, I was fortunate enough when I went to the sport in 1986 that he roomed next door to me up. We were the last two rooms up on the 3 level
Oh,
Canberra residence at the Institute of Sport, and we played juniors together, and obviously with Luke Longley and Shane Heal and a few blokes like that at the World Championships. So had a
nice.
bit to do with Mark over the years, and couldn't believe it when he decided to move from Adelaide 36ers to the Melbourne Tigers, and chasing his true love, Nicole, and came to the Tigers, and we were the beneficiaries of that love match, and what an awesome player was, and probably one of the greatest centres that I've ever played with.
Wow, amazing. Well, we will get into your Melbourne Tiger days, and we'll share some of the highlights of that. Um, what I haven't done with you so far is where we normally talk about at the beginning of the episode of how the title of the podcast. It's Leading Our Own Way, and I think it's important that we share how are you leading your own way? Would you say now, Wazza?
Yeah, look, I'm sort of semi-retired and really just doing a lot of love jobs and trying to put back into the sport. Teach this great game of ours to the kids, give them an understanding. I was fortunate enough to be the head coach of the NBL One women's program for the Melbourne Tigers. Yeah, and again, they couldn't find a coach, so I put my hand up and said I'll do it as a love job because the club's given me so much over the years. So I was
Nice.
happy to put back in for a couple of years until I could hand the job over to Caleb Slater, who was my assistant coach there, and he's continued on the great work. So coaching the under 18 Tiger boys this year, which is a handful in itself, and my trusty assistant coach is none other than Ray Gordon, and a
There you're
legend
in
of the
action.
Melbourne Tigers. Yep. And it's funny about coaching because whenever they take a photo, you always look angry. They always seem to take it at the most inept times. When something's happened, you've called a timeout. It seems like the best time for the photographer, and a lot of times you've called the timeout because we've done something wrong,
Yeah, that's
yelling
it.
at them or being demonstrative. And so Ray Gordon's my assistant there with John Middleton, another ex-Tiger, and a Tigers under 20 captain. that's
No.
there. So yeah, really putting back into the kids now, and trying to spend a little bit more time with my two daughters that are still here.
And they're still in Melbourne, are they?
Yeah, both those. Yep, yep.
And
The two
what are
girls.
they doing with themselves? Sorry.
Well, Ella's she's in year 11 now, going in the high school, goes into year 12 next year. And Neve's just doing a bit of part-time work at the moment till she works out what she wants to do. She graduated last year. So, yeah, she's still working out where life is going to take her and what her next challenge is.
Yeah. And you're at the, you just said you semi-retired. You were able to put it back into the game of basketball, which is absolutely incredible. But other things have drastically changed in the last few years for you and your family. I think it's probably over to you on this one. Something amazing's happened, and you must be feeling so proud. And I think this is important because I really want people to be able to take away fatherhood. Hopefully, maybe 12 years away and 12 years behind you. But what's happened to you and your family recently in the last few years?
Yeah, look, you have kids and you grow up and you got dreams and aspirations for them, and I'm no different to any parent
Mm.
that thinks their kid may be one day the best in the world at something, or might do some incredible feat, and it's about giving them the opportunities. And we just felt like with our kids' mum Kim, that we gave the kids every opportunity at sport. We let them choose what sport they wanted to play. Obviously, me being involved in basketball was going to lead that, and also their mother, who was a basketballer. So they were going to have direct contact with that sport. But it was really a matter of just getting those kids out in the world. But, obviously, Josh being drafted to the NBA back in 2021, right when COVID was around.
Mm.
He was on the cusp of making the Australian Olympic team at the same time. Unfortunately, missed out for Tokyo there. But we were able to go over and participate in the draft, which was at Brooklyn, and an amazing experience for all of us. And, as I said, you have dreams that, maybe one day he's going to make the NBA, but you really never expect it. And you're just trying to hope for the best. We thought maybe he's going to have a good NBL career. He's made a state team. He's going to have fun with his sport and maybe get paid to do it, and something he loves doing. So, to get drafted in the NBA was just an amazing experience, and to go over there and just see the trappings. And we tell people that it's not another world; it's another universe. The NBA, it's an elite sporting competition in the world. One of the biggest. The money is just crazy. The trappings of it, the way they travel around. All the things and the benefits that the players get. It's a new world.
Mm.
And for Josh to be a part of it and us to be a part of it through him is just been an absolutely wonderful journey.
Yeah. We'll get to the NBA draft night, but let's just break up into stages because there's you don't just get to play in the NBA. There's stages to that. Representing Victoria, I'm assuming he represented Victoria.
Yeah, not till late age, not till under 18. So late
Okay.
developer, late bloomer, and just one of those things that grew 6 inches sort of in a year and a bit.
Yeah. So representing Victoria, proud dad, and then there's options even just even just being on the list as an option to go and even potentially represent your country in the Olympics is still an amazing thought, isn't it? What are those stages of just feeling, I don't know, proud of him in all those different stages, and then all of a sudden you sat in Brooklyn and everything's different? How does that, like you've used that word dream, and all of a sudden it's not a dream anymore?
Yeah, it's crazy. I think you really take check of time from when I was a kid, and how my parents reacted to maybe some of my achievements. And when you're a kid, you don't understand how proud someone may be of you. It's just
Mm.
you're just riding the day. It's another thing that you've achieved, and you don't sort of think too much about it. You're just on to the next challenge, and you want to compete at the highest level. You just want to do what you're good at. So I could sort of see that we were extremely proud of Josh. And as I said, I know that Josh, when he has kids and he's proud of his kids, he'll think, wow, that's how my mum and dad were feeling about me,
Yeah.
exactly as I'm feeling about him now, and realise what my mum and dad were feeling. So it's a bit of it's a journey, and it's an understanding. It's like anything with parenthood. When you've got kids that have been naughty, you realise how much pain you caused your own parents when you were naughty.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's one of these things that you learn, and you become more aware of as you're grown up. But it was I wouldn't say it was a slow journey for Josh. He was lucky that I coached him, and obviously the great Andrew Gaze was a coach every second year. also when he played with Andrew's son Mason. So we're able to teach the kids, and I always have a theory about any sport is teaching the kids the skills of the game, and teaching them, letting them understand the game. And really, what we did, we had a bit of a complex offense, but we taught the kids how to pass, how to play as a team, and individually they could still work on their own skills. But playing as in a team sport, there's going to be individual brilliance, but it's really about having IQ and how do you get people around you better? How are you inclusive of all your teammates? So that was a major trait of the Tigers, and probably our offense, which was so team inclusive, that everyone got a chance to participate and to score and make a pass or make a screen, whatever it may be.
Mm.
All the time they're working on their skills outside of training and getting better at ball handling and getting better at shooting, and all the things that come with basketball. So once they had this education of the game, and we always said that when you reach the highest level, you can dribble the ball 30 times and pass it to no one and make a move, and the crowd will go wild for you. But with juniors, we're going to, you've got to earn that ability, and that's the great NBA players that can do that. But unfortunately, in juniors, we're saying it's not time yet to do that for you kids. We're going to play as a team, but one day you'll get the opportunity if you're good enough. And we had that system through for years. As I said, where everyone benefited. Josh had never really made a state team, although our team was the best in the state and one of the best in the country for 4 to 6 years there, from under 14s or under 12s to under 18s. So he was a bit unlucky because he was more of a team player, and maybe our players didn't stand out individually, when it came to making rep teams. But he grew 6 inches, as I said, from probably the bottom age or the top age 16s when he was 15, 16 years of age. And he had his point guard skills because he was, although he was tall, he was never obnoxiously tall around basketball people. There was a lot of other big people around him. So he was the tallest in his class at school, but you put him to a basketball stadium and he was now less than mid-range height. Having that growth spurt clearly helped him. As I said, he had skills of a point guard with the ball in his hands. He could always shoot okay. He was never a dead-eye dick. But he could score and he could get to the hoop. And, he got a great opportunity to go to the NBA Global Academy with my good friend Marty Clark, who I went to the Institute of Sport with in 1986. He was the head coach there. So I was lucky that I was able to hand Josh off. And coaching your kid can be tough. I was tough on Josh. I coached him from when he was 5 years of age, 4 years of age at prep, and I put a bunch of kids together. And sometimes I look back in retrospect and I was tough on him, and, it was probably more about me selfishly that I didn't want parents saying, "Oh, look at the coach's son, he's a hog, he won't pass the ball." So I really, really emphasised inclusivity, making sure that he passed the ball to everyone, made sure he included all of his mates, and they were all going to have fun together. At the same time, all these kids are working on their skills, so they were able to catch the ball that he passed it to. They could dribble, they could pass, they could make layups, So they all got better, which helped the team get better, and everyone enjoyed themselves. And I say to most parents, if your kid can, catch the ball and pass, he's probably going to enjoy the sport a lot more. So it starts with the parents doing these hand-eye coordination, kicking a footy, throwing a tennis ball, hitting it with a tennis racket or a cricket bat, just different ball skills, hand-eye coordination drills. It's not a lesson, but it should be fun. So going down the park, kicking a soccer ball. And the kid over time, kids will just get better naturally if they are down there having fun. And as I said, the better you get at it, the more fun the sport becomes, because you're scoring and you're winning games, and that's fun to most kids, I think.
Yeah, I'm going through that now. I'm very similar to you, probably. I feel like sometimes I do reflect. I'm a very reflective person. I suppose I have to be, even speaking to people like yourself and in the podcast and the guests and so on. But there's times I'm struggling because it's always the coach's kid that doesn't listen, and I'm like you. I'm very mindful of perspective and perception and people not thinking he's a hog. He's definitely not a hog. Was he a hog? He was. And he likes to pass the ball. He really actually enjoys passing the ball, and I love that. He's lost a bit of aggression getting to the basket because of that, but that's slowly coming back, which having that balance of the the both parts of his game is great. Great. He's smaller. I'm not tall. You've met me. I'm not tall. I'm probably like 5'11", but my dad is like 6'3", 6'4". My mum's 5'1", and I've ended up smack bang in the middle. Kills me. So I'm hoping it can jump a generation. But I mean, the game has changed. We know the game's changed over, more recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I'm very mindful that people don't judge. But internally, I'm struggling because he doesn't care what I've done in the game of basketball. He doesn't find it cool. He doesn't care that I've come from England and I've coached here and done a bit of playing here. He doesn't care. So I've tried to be cool, and it's just not worked. But in training, we do sometimes have a little moment, and we struggle. And I don't know whether I just need to let him go, but I want to be part of his journey. Like yourself. Do I stick with it? What advice can you give to me? Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.